Hey everyone, I'm professional angler Mike McClelland, and when it comes to throwing a football jig, I kind of feel like I know what I'm talking about. I've won a ton of money over the past 8 or 10 years throwing a football jig, and that's the reason I teamed up with Falcon to design this new 7'4" micro guide split grip jig rod. The thing that I wanted to do with this particular rod is, it's definitely not a replacement for the original heavy cover jig rod, but this is a rod that just goes that one step further. When it comes to throwing a 3/4, a 1 ounce football jig, when you're fishing really deep water, this rod really has just the right amount of beef up that it needed to get the job done. So many people don't understand when you're throwing a football jig how critical the rod is. A football jig isn't something, that like when you're pitching and flipping bushes, everybody thinks you just got to really set the hook hard. But when you're throwing a football jig, especially in deep water, that really doesn't come into play. You really swing into the fish and kind of wind into them, and that's what makes the rod so important. Like I said, you want a rod that has a soft but firm tip, but you want a rod that has a lot of backbone. So when you're dragging that football jig along and a fish gets the bait, you want the tip to load up to him, so when you start taking up slack, when you start winding, that rod loads, but when you get to the backbone of the rod, that's what drives it home, and that's what makes the catch ratio on this particular rod go way up. I can really say over the past 8 or 10 years throwing a football jig, my landing ratio is just phenomenal compared to what it used to be prior to designing these rods for Falcon. So the next time you get ready to pick up a football jig rod, make sure you look at the new 7'4" micro guide series, or you might even want to take a look at the 7'4" Cara T7 series.